Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 145. There can only be one. This is the last podcast of the calendar year, and we're bringing back Half-Baked Take, which is probably a little bit structured a little bit differently of a podcast here. Of course, there's no TWID. A little bit's happening in the game, but mainly the focus of this episode is going to be on a Half-Baked Take and discussion with that, and then mailbag. So probably more of a time-efficient podcast than previous weeks. How you all doing this week?
Good, man. You didn't signal me to continue talking right when you start the live stream on YouTube here. I'm very used to saying some kind of comment as you hit live, and
Yeah,
you got to let me know.
I'm doing good. Trying to do like 7 things at once right now, but that's usually how it goes whenever we first start these out.
yeah.
Trying to get the Twitch restream going, but good week of Destiny. Got a little bit accomplished. It's always nice. Looking forward to getting back in there. I have some thoughts. This week.
Hey, Nina, thanks for being in chat.
Woo!
Howdy. Everybody go follow on Twitch. Ohrican. Ohrican. I don't know. Is there like a 27 or anything that's thrown at the end of that?
No, I think it's just a weekend.
Ohrican. Pretty close to affiliate status, I hear. Pretty rad. I did hop in and watch a little Disney Dreamlight Valley in there today. I had a few minutes at work. Got that Twitch notification and popped in, said hello.
And then tonight, she was playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
Ooh.
boy. I'm scared of restarting that, man. I'm like, I got plenty of time this season, so I can wait a little bit. I can wait for the story to end for me to dive into something like that. I told you when I downloaded on a podcast night, so I had it downloading while we were doing this. And then I ended up staying up till like 2 a.m, and I'm like, oh no, I need to go bed.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me you were on the character creator for like 3 hours or something?
The problem was so it was like an hour, just over an hour, and then as soon as you finish, you complete it. Your character does a thing, and then the screen goes black, and then you get loaded into another character creator immediately after that, where you have to make like your guardian or whatever. So it's like an alternate whatever version of something. I haven't gotten far enough in the story to even know what it is, but like I sat there and I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, you know what? I've already made my character. I'm going to literally just make it like a flipped version of my character. So I'm like, cause I had 2 different colored eyes, and I'm like, I switched the color to the eyes. I went, instead of going white hair, I went black hair, and like I did like a full flip that way. And I was like, man, that made it a lot easier, because this would have been a nightmare had I done a full character again. Ugh.
She's trying to convince me to play, but she also wants to know, was it the male genitalia that took you so long to create your character?
It's rough, dude, because there's so many different ones, and you want to get the right one. And I'm like, so I made I want to say she's an elf. She's an elf monk. And
Yeah.
I'm just, pants off, was just trying to find the one that fit. And I'm like, you know what? No,
Lord.
she's gonna be a girl.
She have
But
heavies.
she did have a guardian, so they did lots of wiggling because you can rotate your character, and your junk's just hanging out. It's excellent.
All right. Are we ready to let the dogs out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got movement on my lines.
Yeah, you do.
Got the squigs.
Wiggles.
I need to remember to turn Jared up a little louder this week. A little soph on the podcast audio. Just a touch. And Chad, I think, has his bass turned up on his mic.
Do I?
Super high.
Really?
Don't act like you don't know. Don't act like you didn't do that yourself.
I didn't. I haven't touched my sound settings because I know I'll mess them up.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like terrifying every time I see that little icon next to the restart that knows there's a Windows update. And it's like, is it going to completely jack my sound up or halfway jack my sound up?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
$135 over or under. Good talk.
I was waiting for Chad to go.
I don't want to guess because he's just gonna try to do something dumb again.
I was just gonna do the opposite, whatever Chad picked.
Oh, okay. Over.
Under.
Clicking the button. 2, 1. Eyes up, Guardians. We are live for episode 145 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, December the 28th, 2023. And I am the Destiny bad boy, not Ryan Fox, here with my fire team, who all of you CCBs know by now. Jared.
Hey everyone, we got to see some strand being used in game from a character that we assumed knew how to use strand. And then we also got Half Baked Take coming back for this podcast.
And the chronicler himself, Chado Cerro.
Definitely excited about that strand. When I saw it happen, I was like, "Ooh, this is getting fiery." I was hoping to see more, but was at least happy that it was there.
And as a reminder, if you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch, thank you. Don't forget you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, click the bell, turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Join the Discord server. Send us Bungie friend requests so we can play games together. Those are listed in the info, all that for you. No TWID. Bungie still has like 13 weeks off before they're required to give us another TWID. So like Jared mentioned, we do have a little bit of half-baked take, kind of a little extra. I've been working hard on it. But before we get into that, let's listen to the intro music, which is brought to you by everybody's favorite Link, who you can find on Twitter at LinkOfTimeG. 132.
See, I just want you to hit 127. I want you to get to that exact 127 every time.
I'm not going to lie. I look at it, and then I'm like, I can get there, and then I'm like, we'll let Chad do a little bit of math.
Squigs. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, back.
Mic check. 1, 2. Squiggle, squiggle. All right. Clicking the button. Wow, Link. Awesome job. Thank you. Jared?
All right, everyone. There can only be one. This week we find out from Ribbon that the wish from Sabbath, we can only send one person through the portal into chase after the witness. And with this, Mara felt like this was just another deception, and Ribbon screwed us over again. And so she got pretty angry. And then she had a hold me back moment where she was acting like she's about to use her powers on Ribbon. And Osiris
Hold me back.
pulled out that strand and, bound up them wrists and held her back. Even, he still has some sun braces on his wrist that is doing him no good whatsoever. And finally, we have one more egg to go after this week. And Osiris has figured out that whenever we send one person across, we'll be able to contact them through the ley lines and then know where they're at and then send other people through. One person paved the road, and then everybody can go back and forth. It's almost like you set up the I forgot. Oh, I can't believe I forgot the name of it on Star Wars, but it's light speed lanes where if there's established, and that was where all the ships use the same light speed lanes and the hyperdrives. Yeah, there you go. Equivalent to that.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Got the last fusion rifle I needed for this season weapon crafting, and I think I got 3 of the 10 weapons from the season craftable as of right now.
Is that it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've unlocked a single one to craft yet. I keep getting one of it keeps spreading out, it's going down the line, going 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, and it's bro. Thankfully, yesterday I went into the exotic mission with Python and Raider Fred, and the end chests. It looked like if you do the catalyst step or whatever it is, it gives you 2 chests at the end, and for all 3 of us, both of those chests gave us a red border each. So it looks like you're guaranteed if you're doing the quest to get 2 red borders at the end of it. And Python and I both got a red border in one of the secret chests. So we're like, oh, cool.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That's productive run.
It was 3. Yeah, it was wild. And it was the chest that gave us the frame upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, is this one guaranteed to also give you a red border? I didn't check with Fred, but Python's like, oh, I got a red border. And I'm like, okay, all right. I did too. So I'm thinking because there's 3 more of those chests, I think, 2 or 3 more. So on the next one, if I get another red border, guaranteed red border on that. And then next week is the next step for the other thing. So we'll see. But if you do this exotic quest and you follow all the steps for the catalyst, I think you're gonna pretty much finish the Vex offensive weapons. It's gonna be pretty great.
I still haven't got that SMG to drop yet. Not a single one.
I just barely got the pulse rifle to drop as a red border in the last chest last night. So I was like, oh, finally the pulse.
I've been running a fair amount of coil, that kind of fits the amount of time that I have to play. There's usually enough time to go grab bounties and do the coil.
Yeah,
I've been getting pretty lucky in there.
I kind of like the quick ribbons layer runs where you just do one wave, and every now and then you get some people really stuff. I think I just completed one in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get some the first 2 in a coil you can do if you have a team that can DPS, which this is not to step on my fire team finder thing coming up, but that's I've had some pretty decent luck in there at times, and pretty nice whenever it gets to that.
So that's probably the majority of stuff this week. I mean, Chad mentioned going into the exotic mission. Do you remember the name of that mission? I only did it once, and I got the bow.
Star-crossed.
There you go.
Star-crossed, yeah. Way to go, Ryan.
Working on the weapon frames.
Sorry, Mr.
Probably going
Ryan.
to try to get that done this weekend. But
Let's do it after the show.
okay. All right.
Okay. It's gonna be like a 30-minute podcast.
Sure. All right.
It depends. You got your rambly bit at the bottom.
Yeah. Then, as we already mentioned, there's no TWID until January 18th. So 3 more weeks.
3:13. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Now it's time to know about how we all got started.
So, about 146-ish weeks ago, got the crew together, and I was like, guys, let's start a podcast about Destiny. The ones that I've been listening to back and forth to work, they're just they're not really getting the job done anymore, and I'm not really enjoying them as much as I used to, and it doesn't seem like the people play the game like we play the game. So we should be the people that, provide a little bit of entertainment to everybody. And Jared, Chad both say yes. And I was like, if you guys show up, I'll handle the rest of it. So I realized I kind of opened my mouth before I realized what I was agreeing to do, and realized I had no idea how to start a podcast, how to record a podcast, how to host a podcast, how to make it show up anywhere. So did some Google searching, wound up finding Zencastr. So Zencastr makes it easy to record a podcast. You simply sign up, log in using your browser, and start recording high quality right away. Studio quality sound. You can get up to 4K video with your guest. Backups on backups on backups. So you always have these recordings. If something goes wrong, you don't have to worry a lot about it. You sound incredible. They have a post-production, makes you sound like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. Takes away ums and ahs in those recording. There's awkward long pauses. We called them pregnant pauses whenever we first started. Because anytime one would happen, and I'd always listen to the show afterwards, and we'd have a pause, and I'd look down to make sure that it was still playing, because it was just long enough, just awkwardly long enough. It also makes everybody's volume the same level, and makes you sound like you know what you're doing, because everybody's turned on a podcast that has terrible quality, and it's like, nope, not listening to this. So basically, it's all in one. It does everything for you. It makes you seem like you know what you're doing, and then by the time you actually know what you're doing, you're just kind of zooming through, record in one place, host in one place. But if you go to Zencastr.com/pricing, Zencastr.com/pricing, use our code DestinyCCPod. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. That way you guys can have the same experience that we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Make sure you tweet at us. If you sign up using our code, send us your podcast. We'll all listen to it. We'll retweet it. We'll listen, give you feedback, and all of that. So there's also a link that will be in the Spotify, iTunes, YouTube video, etc. So once again, go to Zencastr.com/pricing with the code DestinyCCPod. Chad, can you tell us what shows up whenever you do this?
So as soon as you go to that link, it's going to actually end up sending you straight to basically a little pricing matrix there. You can see all their plans. You can see what's offered in the plan, and then the price right at the bottom. And as I'm looking through what's going on here, I just kept scrolling, and at the bottom it lets you put in a code. So I put in our code, DestinyCCPod, and as soon as I hit apply, it immediately changed the pricing right there on the menu. So I didn't have to even do anything further besides that. I could see the pricing that I'm going to get with the discount code, and I didn't have to put in any credit card information, didn't have to go through the purchase process at all. It showed it right there, plain as day, made it really easy.
All right, so once again, go to zencastr.com/pricing, zencastr.com/pricing. Use our code Destiny CCPod. Save that 30%. Start making a podcast that's great. Let us know what it is so we can listen to it.
All right, that takes us to our 3 likes and 3 dislikes of the week. My like is hanging out with not Ryan Fox at his house again, just like the old days. Back before we even thought of starting a podcast together, just sitting around playing NBA 2K. Just feeling like those days after coming back from the Giovanni's buffet. He probably made, I don't know, 10 plus pounds of wings. And
I think it ended up being 14 pounds of wings.
Yeah, it was a good time. Hopefully, Shadow's going to come in from the West Coast for one of these, and we'll have a great time.
Had a great time. I have a couple likes. I'm just gonna give 2 of them. One was the coquito that was gifted to me from O'Rican in the chat. So it was made with love, and Jared goes, "You'll like it. Chad will be proud of you for trying it." So my understanding, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, is that it's like a Puerto Rican eggnog, like coconut eggnog hybrid. I don't know. It had a lot of rum in it. It was tasty. Santa had it whenever with the cookies Christmas Eve night.
Yeah.
And it was nice. Very nice. My Destiny like is surprisingly the Fire Team Finder. I've had some pretty good luck for the most part using it. That Guardian Oath that you have to take at the beginning is quite corny. I will say that. Wasn't a giant fan of that. But if you get in there, I was like, as much as it's so much easier for me to use the LFG on Discord, if we're being honest. But I was like, I do a Destiny podcast. I should probably try some of these things out to be able to provide feedback. And I would say overall, it is a positive.
My like is that I'm almost done with the Dawning. I thought I wouldn't make it. I thought that last week, because of all the stuff that was happening and me missing a double Vanguard XP, which is Ruin Dawning. I didn't. It's this week throws you into the Ascendant Challenge, and it's the one that gives you infinite orbs. I ended up sitting in there for like 30 minutes, and I got 1,500 kills with the various elements to finish everything off, and then just went about my business. But I got almost everything done. I think I need to make just over 60 cookies, and then I'm done. And then I get the gilding done too. So probably just going to be sitting in the Crucible playlist, since that's got double XP. And it gives you some of that. Is it not the Spirit or what's the blue one?
Oh,
and I thought it was Dawning Spirit.
Dawning Spirit, yeah. Then I think there's Cheer. I don't remember. Anyway, the blue one, because you get the blue one after like a game of Crucible, a game of Vanguard, and so Essence. I'm just gonna be sitting there. Yeah, Essence.
Thank you, Jared.
So I'm just gonna sit there and I already have to work on getting to the ornament. So I'm 2,000 in on the second reset. So once I get there, I'll have the ornament for the glaive done, or whatever it is, the sword. Yeah. You can blame Iron Banner. Iron Banner made me get that far there. And then I'll be done with Crucible for the rest of the season. All 17 months left of it. And then my dislike, besides not getting any coquito for myself, is that I'm also slowly running out of tamales. I was only able to take just over 100 home, and handing them out.
How big are tamales?
Handing them out to coworkers.
Are these hot tamales, like the little red candies that come in a box?
No, they're about the size of my phone.
And how did you keister 100 of these things to get them back home? Like, how does that happen?
So I had to Santa Claus a bunch of presents on the train up. So I had a big bag.
I got you.
And my mom's
Okay.
like, "Oh, well, you got a big bag, so I'm going to fill up that big bag." And I'm like, "I don't need that many." And it was filled. I had a literal trash bag of tamales in
Wow.
in my bag. We froze them, and then I put them in the trash bag, insulated it, and then I'm like, "Geez, this is wild." But
You
my
said it was a
coworkers have been,
5-hour. You said it was a 5-hour train ride.
yeah, yeah.
How wet was the inside of that trash
It was
bag?
not that wet. It was actually not
Really?
that bad. Yeah, no, it was not that bad. But yeah, no, it's so many tamales, but I'm running out. I think they'll be gone by tomorrow.
Hmm.
There's so many tamales. And that coquito. I was so jealous as soon as I saw that picture, and I'm proud of you, Ryan.
I have a little bit. I have a little bit more left. I'm saving it for New Year's. But I can't bring it in around children because the children think it went. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dislike. Sorry, I was waiting for Jared to go. I was like, "Will this idiot talk?" But really, I'm the idiot. So, my dislike is not surprisingly the Fire Team Finder. So I have a love-hate with Fire Team Finder. Um, I don't know if I necessarily expected it to be different from LFG, but it still has some of the same issues of LFG. I'm going to be 100% honest. Whenever it comes to Destiny right now, I'm getting like 3 hours a week, right? And it's kind of usually split into two sessions. So in those sessions, I'm usually doing the story in one session, and in the other, I'm trying to get a coil. And if I get a third session or a little extended session, I'm either looking at like a Warlord's Ruin or another coil. So in doing this, I always host as opposed to try to find, because one thing I found is as a Guardian rank 5, you're usually the first to get kicked whenever you join these LFG groups.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'll host it. Man, the way it works is once you find your activity, because it's usually broken into like Gambit, Crucible, seasonal activities, raids, dungeons, blah, blah, blah. Once you find those, excuse me, you select your activity, and then you can choose like 5 tags that go with it, which are the tags are searchable. So like one tag might be like greetings, Guardians. One tag might be like high score, hidden chest, um, all pathways for the coil, experience requested. I don't think it says required. I think it says experience requested. So what I found is, even though I put experience requested because I'm trying to just kind of bang these out, not that coils are incredibly difficult, but you don't want somebody banging out 5 of your revives because they keep running into spikes because they've never done it before, right? So people don't always seem to pay attention to that. I tried to get a final checkpoint for Warlord's Ruin because I need that exotic still, and I just haven't been on when you guys are on for whatever reason. So I was trying to get the checkpoint, and it's like you can choose final boss, and then there's one that's like checkpoint passing or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I took it to mean like they have the checkpoint and they're trying to pass it on to you, but it actually means they have the checkpoint and they want you to finish it with them. I'm not sure. So we need some more tags. I wish that if there was a way that said like experience requested, maybe that meant like they had to have 5 coil completions before they could join the experience, anything that had experience requested or something.
Yeah.
It's not quite there, but it's close. It's pretty good overall. It's more positive than negative. It just needs a little work. And if people don't get in there and mess with it and try it and give feedback, it's never going to get better. So I figure in a 9-month season, this would be the time to kind of try it and try to give that feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to get in and try that. Even just like a simple dungeon. Get in there and see how it goes.
It's a dungeon results in a lot of DPS phases. I'm just gonna tell you how that goes. You get through it. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's impossible. It's gonna take 1 to 2 more DPS phases than you think it should. Just gonna tell you straight up.
Actually, Chad, was you with me the last time we went into Warlords Ruin where we one phase the final boss?
Yeah, it was you, me, Shifty.
Yeah. Yep. That was pretty cool to pull that off.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
We need to do a us 3, and then we fire team find 3 people to do a Crotus. Like it's gonna suck. It's gonna be miserable, but it's gonna be good content.
That opening encounter.
At most, it's gonna take 2 hours.
All right. Yeah.
I was gonna. Yeah, same.
There was
That opening
there was
encounter
our
is
one
where
F
it's
word. There it was.
Yep. You'll hear a lot more than just that one from LFG in that opening encounter. Yeah. My dislike is just like not doing in-game content with anybody, really. Like, I could probably count on one hand how many Warlords dungeons I've completed. I haven't did a raid this season at all. I did that exotic mission once. So need to get in there, and season pass is almost done. I think I'm at 85. So getting close to that being done. But
I think I'm at 55, which is as little as I've played this season. I've been very efficient to be at 55.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I'm at 90. Like I'm not even done with it yet either.
all right, next up is Gambling Corner. Fox, how's this going right now?
I'm gonna be honest. We haven't played together, so
Yeah.
Gambling Corner is exactly where I was last week. We have 2 bets open right now. I assume neither of you got your exotic from Warlord's Ruin.
Nope.
No.
Okay, so that's outstanding. We also have a next GM total deaths. That's outstanding. And I think we have a Crota outstanding as well. So with 3 outstanding, we're not gonna put a 4th on there. Chato is in the lead at 14K. Jared and I each have 8K. So I'm hoping that we can get at the very least a GM and a Crota in like the next. Maybe this weekend's gonna be hard because it's like New Year's and college football playoffs and stuff. But I think after we get through that, I think we'll kind of get pretty reg on everything. So it should be good.
All right, that takes us to half-baked takes.
All right, half-baked takes is on me. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm sure you guys have heard. I have a little bit of like this cough thing going on right now. So if I cough and I don't catch it with a mute button, I'm sorry. If I cut out in the middle, I've put actually a fair amount of thought into this. The idea kind of hit me a few days ago, and I pushed it in our like Discord group chat on the 22nd at 1:30. I wrote like 3 sentences in there so I wouldn't forget about this. I've kind of typed some of it out. So half-baked take, the idea behind it honestly is from a Bill Simmons podcast when he gets Kevin Wildes on, and he had like half-baked ideas, and he would be like, these ideas, they're half formed, they're not all the way formed, so like they're not 100% ready, but it's something to start on. And it's like, man, we could do some like half-baked takes here on Destiny every once in a while and go from here. So I don't know how I thought of this. I was just driving. It was raining. Maybe it was the pattern of the raindrops that were falling. But I thought of a new activity, and I'm just going to lay it out there. I have a couple ways it could be implemented potentially. But this is what I decided to call it was the Gauntlet. Obviously, this is a working title. But this is essentially a hybrid of all 3 ritual activities. Those being Gambit, Crucible, and Strikes, or the Vanguard playlist. it's called now. It does not take away any of the other original playlist. It is additive. And the basis behind this idea is that you don't really want to just run strikes. You don't really just want to run Crucible or Gambit. And you're indecisive on what to play. So you play this, and this gives you a way to experience all three, but it's in a shortened experience of each activity. So it makes each one a little faster, a little more palatable, and it kind of keeps things moving in between. So you're not just sitting there doing the same thing over and over. So if you don't want to play the full slog of Gambit, but you still want Gambit rewards, you want to play a little bit of PvP, maybe to get that new SMG, but you don't feel like getting shit pumped in PvP playlist the whole time in Crucible. Or you like to play strikes, but some of them we've been running for the last 9 years. And maybe you just you need a little bit more experience to reach that new pinnacle weapon at like rank 16 with the blue man there. This is the playlist that you're going to choose. So instead of a fire team of 4, everything is based around a fire team of 3, because obviously strikes have 3, and that's the lowest common denominator of like Gambit's 4. So you don't want to be picking people up in between. So everything is based around 3s. Whenever you play Gambit, instead of playing to 100, you only play to 50 modes. At 50 modes, you summon your Primeval. In each wave, it adds 1 champion. So whether it be barrier, it would give you this information prior to you starting. And this gives players that don't necessarily play high-end content a little bit of experience in dealing with champions, right? So that's another way to bring those into the normal player base. At 25 motes, you unlock the portal for invading. You also get 1 invade for every 3 damage phases of the boss. So you know how like you go and you kill the envoys or whatever they're called, and then you get a damage phase. And then after that, you go kill another set of envoys, damage phase, another set of envoys, damage phase, and then the invader portal opens again. Now, if you don't take your invade from 25 to 50, that's just gone. You can't stack invades to quickly invade. You only get 1 invade per like 3 damage phases. So it keeps the invader part kind of limited. They can still make a big difference in the game. But it stops them from like stacking to coming in and winning it every time if your team doesn't have an invader. Crucible, based around a fire team of 3. Obviously, all game types are going to be 3v3 based. I personally was thinking you do like a trials game mode type, round based, revives, but instead of playing first to 5, it's best to 7. So that introduces people to the trials rules, playlist, etc. It takes kind of like myself, even though I've been flawless 6 times, no big deal. It makes it seem less scary. Like if you do this enough, it's not like overwhelming. Takes some of that anxiety out of it. Very short time on the rounds. The purpose for that is to promote a faster pace of play. You can mess around with like TTKs. Maybe one week you do it with it's only guns, no abilities. Kind of like how what's the new playlist that they do where they kind of mess around with that stuff, Jared?
Labs?
Yeah, it's Crucible Labs. But
Yeah, kind of like a Labs, or the other one that they do where the like hand cannons do more damage and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, it's what is that called?
Either way, anything they want to test out, they can use this for, right? It's going to give them kind of data and feedback like with those things. It's going to be pretty fast. Let's be honest. The thing that like most people don't like to mess around in Crucible, but this is going to get in there kind of, you're not in there as long basically, but it's still part of this. Then strikes, fire teams of 3. This is the easiest one. They already do this for the most part. But at the start of each strike, each team sees a list of modifiers. Think modifiers that were in D1, like small arms, like those type of things. And then also think about the modifiers that we've seen in Coil. And I think it was called Deep Dives in that Season of the Deep activity, like with Asha, that you could choose like one like between each room or encounter. Some modifiers make things more difficult. Some things make things easier. Attach multiplier rates to these. As time decreases, score multipliers decreases. So there is like a risk reward between kills and speed. Think about like the badges and the medals that are already in the game, like in Triumph form. If you can get those, those are going to give you, some of them are like rapidly get 7 kills with a power weapon, like in quick succession, like those type of things. Those are going to be points based. There's obviously going to be exploits, like everybody finishing everything because finishers are worth more. But they can adjust that, disable those things. Like as it progresses, we know it's not going to be perfect out of the gate, but it would be kind of something to start with. So essentially, at the start, before we start any activity, there's like this giant wheel that spins, and it's going to determine the order that you do either the strike, the crucible, or the gambit match. And after the order is set, you get to vote. There's going to be like 3 boxes that come up, and it's going to be like, do you want to run like the Devil's Lair, the Corrupted, or Mars Battleground, right? So everybody votes on that, chooses, then think like Gambit maps or Crucible maps. Like those are the things that you would vote on in between each round. There's going to be 3 available. The first team to win 2 activities wins the match overall. If a team is up 2-0, the third's obviously not necessary, so you're not forced to play it. At the end of the final activity, or when the winner is crowned, players get 2 to 3 weapon armor drops. They can choose between if they want weapons or if they want armor. If it takes 2, like if it's 2-0, you only get 2 drops. If it's like 2-1, you get the 3rd drop, right? So you can choose the like if they're Gambit drops, Crucible drops, or Strike drops. If you use Fire Team Finder, you get an extra drop, like to form your team. That way they get data on that and gets more people involved in those activities. There is not a vendor for Gauntlet, but you gain XP in all 3 playlists. So I was thinking like 70 to 75% of like a full Strike or a full Crucible match is kind of what you would get per each one that you do. But you get like 70% of a Gambit match of like a Gambit, 70% of Crucible, 70% of Strike if you play all 3. And basically, you want this to be slightly more advantageous to run Gauntlet as opposed to just hopping in the Strike playlist. If you run Gauntlet, it doesn't reset your streak in any other ritual playlist. So if you have like a 5 streak and like running Nightfalls and you hop into this to play with some friends or something, it doesn't take that away. Add an ornament to the seasonal ritual weapon. So like, I don't even know what it is. Is it a glaive this season or was that last season?
It's a sword this season. It's a caster frame.
Okay, sword. So yeah, that sword, that caster. So add like a different ornament that you can get with it. That's kind of like a hybrid of like the red, the green, and like the blue. But in the directory screen, when you select it, like at the bottom, it just tells you like how many matches that you played. And every 5, you either get like a harmonizer, an ascendant shard, an enhancement core, a shader, a memento. Like keep those things like involved in there that are extra drops to keep people in there. So what I couldn't decide would be better is if this is something that comes like every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, like an Iron Banner, it's like an event thing, or should it be something that's around all the time? So I don't really know as far as that. That was the one thing I couldn't really figure. But like, is this something you guys would be interested in at all? Or
yeah,
like,
I
would you touch it?
I would. It's purely rewards dependent, right? Just anything in Destiny. Yeah, I get the loot right.
Yep.
Selecting the loot makes me want to play it then. As long as they have that part.
Right.
The only thing I would
like
introduce would be a locked loadout, and then they're allowed to ban
Ooh.
certain items in this playlist.
Yeah,
So,
let's
like,
do it. That sounds cool.
Yeah, so
I'd be
like,
down with that.
let's just say like Izanagi's Burden becomes a meta in this playlist, which it probably would be if I'm looking at it. So you have to make a choice. Like, all right, when you go to come play Crucible, you know you love playing shotgun hand cannon, but that's not the best in Gambit. Strikes, you can get away with that. So it really comes down to trying to pick a loadout that's good in all three phases to the game.
That would be cool.
The short gambit seems fun and seems funny. But I think I'm thinking of making this, because the way you're making it is making it so that people can get in and get out faster, but still get similar rewards. So I think Scorches need to be gone and Birds need to come back for this specific thing, because that means increased damage, and that means you're burning through stuff faster, which in turn will teach a lot more of the blueberries the strikes, because there's so many, but with the battlegrounds and everything else in there. But if they're melting the enemies and the bosses, they're going to have more time to focus on other stuff versus trying to survive. But the Gambit seems funny, and as long as I'm getting rolls of Gambit guns, or the vendor, like the Vanguard Gambit Crucible guns, cool. Like a higher chance of getting one with a roll that's semi decent, since it has 12 perks in each slot.
Right. Yeah, so like my main thing is something that mixes it up, something that they don't have to create new stuff for, really, other than like a voting system, right? And you want your XP to be good, and you want rewards to be plentiful, but not like too much. But I thought being able to focus like what loot pool they came out of, like if I want to, because this allows you to play things like, if you don't like Gambit, but there's like a hot weapon in Gambit, you can just play a little bit of Gambit and get more drops towards it. So that was kind of the main things I focused on, kind of like a armor, like a time investment, and like make the XP and the loot a little better than what it is, but being able to focus it just seems fun, just something a little different, really.
Oh yeah.
So
I think it probably would be best as an event, like maybe 3 times a season, or once a month.
I also thought
Okay.
like it could be pretty fun competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like some sort of ranked thing, because like you said, especially if you do like a locked loadout type of deal on it, so you'd kind of have one person that's set to be like, whose loadout is more invader based, and then like another who's set just to like slate and gambit, and then another who's like your PvP person, you want them to have like a PvP. So Gambit would be hard with only 3 people trying to coordinate like your DPS and that stuff. It could be interesting. So something different. If you have any ideas to make it better, make it worse, just tweet at us at Destiny CC Pod. Go from there.
It takes us to the lore, Chad. What's going on this week?
Well, today we are going into the seasonal weapons. There's some lore there, and we're going to start off with a part 1 and part 2 next week. But we're going to start, like always, top slot down, and make our way through this lore here. We're going to start off with the Scalar Potential Auto Rifle. EB, Elsie Bray. Is that everything, Commander? Commander Zavala. Well, no. There's one more thing I wanted to ask you about stasis. What it means for you to wield the darkness. I was wondering if you might ask me for that. For me, stasis is intimately tied to perception and to time. Time. Yes. Stasis has the power to slow molecular activity, a process that we normally associate with gravity, relativity and all that. You're talking about time dilation. Exactly. We think of time as steady, but that's only because we experience it from a fixed perspective. When I freeze something with stasis, I'm changing its time frame relative to myself and the world around me. Stasis relies in part on one's perception of reality. Is that why Osiris always emphasizes self-control in using the darkness? That's his way of framing things. He views stasis as exerting authority over oneself and others. And you don't. In my view, the goal of stasis is not to control the object or even my own mind. It's to change my perspective, to see the object moving at the speed of my thoughts, not the speed of matter. And just seeing it differently is enough? Is that so hard to imagine? It's very similar to how you use void light, manipulating space-time and gravitational fields, in fact. I would argue that void has more in common with stasis than it does with solar or arc. Perhaps they're reverse sides of the same coin. And using stasis doesn't worry you, even after everything you've seen. It did, for a long time. I feared that using stasis would corrupt me, as I'd seen others corrupted. But after what seemed like 1,000 years trapped in the interminable loop, it gradually dawned on me. The fear was the corruption. As long as fear gripped me, light or darkness made no matter. Once I accepted that, the darkness ceased to be frightening. It was another matter of perspective. Thank you, Elsie. You've given me a lot to think about. For some reason, your explanation makes it more comfortable with the idea. Anytime, Commander. It's all a matter of perspective. And the Lethophobia bow. The wish dragons took to the air one final time, soaring nimbly between the pillars on wings of prismatic light. Sieur Ida watched their pale, sinuous reflections sweep across the surface of geodes. It had been many years since Hugin and Moonin first arrived in the city as a nameless pair, full of the fervor and cunning of their kind. For the greater portion of those years, Sieur considered them friends. They dined delicately on her desire for news of worlds beyond the reef, spinning truth and lies with the cackling enthusiasm of dedicated storytellers. But now the hunt had been called, and there was only one path into the future. Sieur stood waiting at the center of the chamber, her fingers loose around the grip of her bow, her head bowed. At last the Ahamkara landed heavily to either side of her, scenting the air. "Are you unhappy?" Hugin asked, surprised. "What story was there that never ended?" Moonin said. "And can you not tell it again once it's over?" said Hugin. "We will be as true and solid as bone forever," Moonin yawned wide, his curling tusks scraping against one another. "Rhetoric," Sieur muttered. She would miss them. All the same, their shining inquisitiveness, their impossible wisdom, the fleeting grace of weapons purposefully sheathed, all of it lost in one dismal moment of surrender, unless... Hugin tilted his head. Moonin parted his jaws to brandish a fanged smile. Sieur straightened to full height. At her hip was the fractal knife she had been gifted from the queen's own armory. In her hands her great bow. "Come then," she said, plucking an arrow from its quiver. "Give me a fight to remember." Supercluster shotgun. Osiris. Strand weaves around Osiris's hands. It dims and brightens, casting green light into the messy scatter of books and star charts spread across his desk and surrounding 6 feet of floor. "Osiris!" "What?" Osiris lowers his hands. Saint Fortine is there, a solid wall of exo in the doorway. Saint crosses his arms. "You didn't answer my call." "It is crucial that we learn how ley lines operate. I believe they share a connection with Strand, if only I can unlock it." His hand of Strand extends in loops around him, spiraling towards the ceiling, turning the purple of Saint's ribbons to gray. "I am reminded of Nimbus's tales of the river. Strand connects our minds, but what parts of us also touch the ley lines?" "I liked Nimbus in your stories," Saint interjects, mild. "We should visit them." In a mood like this, a mild interjection couldn't stop Osiris. Queen Mara's Techugans can affect matter through ley lines. Their joined will pulls on threads woven through the ascendant plane, two connected systems, the warp and weft of our universe's fabric, one a spool of thread for this world and the other perhaps for the ascendant plane. Osiris's strand grows brighter until Saint's massive hand engulfs his own. No master of darkness. Saint takes control with a gleaming void tether as the glow of strand slowly fades. How long has it been since you've seen the sun? Saint asks. I was experimenting with solar light just the other day. You know this. Not the same. Come. Stubbornness is unbecoming. Saint tugs gently at Osiris by their joined hands. Osiris stops in his tracks and snorts. If the question between us is that of hard-headedness, Ikora is going to give them a talking to if Saint's laughter gets through the soundproofing to her office again. So he persists. It is late, and I have not seen you since you set your robe on fire. The work will wait. Osiris lets himself be led out the door, the connection between them still glowing bright. Well, now we know why Hugin and Munin are where they are in the Dreaming City. That's the two skulls that you used to have to go to get the tinctures, to buy the tinctures. Now you can just buy them from Petra. But they're in that's that big domed room, or there's a big circular platform, and then right behind you there's two doorways. One leads you to Hugin and one leads you to Munin. So in that room, Sura Ido killed both of them and put their bones in those separate rooms. That's a cool backstory to that room, because I always wanted to know why there's those two skulls just chilling. But now we know. And it sounds like
did one
Zavala's
sell
trying
like tier 3s? Did one sell like tier 3s or unstables or something?
No, the unstable ones, the highest level ones. Yeah. And it looks like Zavala's finally getting a little bit of a darkness in him too. So that's neat.
All right, that takes us to the mailbag. All right, here's where people give us questions and we try to answer them, and usually some good fun that happens here. And we'll go ahead and get here started with the first question. Which seasonal weapon have you enjoyed the most? I'm looking these over. I mean, are we counting Dragon's Breath as one of the seasonal weapons or no?
I mean, if so, that's the clear winner. So
Okay. Oh, besides
probably,
that, I guess like the scatter signal. This is the fusion rifle. I just
that's
like
what I was
got
gonna say.
the last pattern I needed today, so I'm probably gonna craft one at some point here soon.
Shotgun seems pretty good.
I haven't even used any of them yet because I haven't been able to craft anything. But I mean, the fusion rifle seems neat. Seems neato burrito, dog. Some of the perk combinations seem like a lot of fun.
That shotgun, you can get reconstructions with surrounded.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage.
And the hand cannon, is it a 180?
Yeah.
Is it optative or something like that? It was pretty good on controller back in the day. Probably not now on mouse and keyboard.
I mean, they're still not great on controllers anymore.
Yeah. I was just thinking of the Trust days. Those were the days. That and Luna's HAL.
If you had Trust with explosive payload, it was like the only way to try to combat Luna's HAL. If you didn't have one,
the only chance you had.
Yeah.
And the scout rifle isn't bad. The one, the old one that was reissued.
Imperative.
What's the name of that? What's the name of those weapons, Chad? The one with the Vexy weapons with like the flowers all over.
Offensive ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scout rifle's decent. Yeah. I like that one pretty good. I got a decent like random drop of that one that I kept on me just to do like scout rifle bounties and stuff. I mean, it's a scout rifle, so I mean, like, it is what it is, but did a pretty good job.
All right, question 2. If you could go back and play one activity for the first time again, what would you choose?
Ooh.
For the first time.
It's got to be that first raid, right? Like your first Vault of Glass or your first King's Vault, whatever raid was your first raid.
That's different though, because it is crazy. But doing the first one with a solid group, like your first group where you're like, these guys are bros. This is a squad. Is very different feeling than just beating it and be like, okay, cool, and then just bouncing out
That's
without
true.
saying anything.
The maybe like our first like completion of like our first day one completion or contest mode completion or whatever. That was fun.
I think our first GM completion for the three of us.
What about like what about like our
Yeah.
our first like all the first time we got all 6 GMs completed,
Yeah.
like of the season, the first time we got that Conqueror, that's probably the
It's like
answer.
the Conqueror title.
That first one. I think something needs to be said the first time doing Shadow Throne as like that mechanic 3-person dude. I think like I really hold that time pretty special the first time getting in and doing that.
I will say, so Christmas at my with my nephews, they've like started to play Destiny, getting into it pretty good, but they don't have Lightfall, like they don't have like the Witch Queen dungeon key, so like a little bit limited. So they're trying to get Wish Ender, right? So they want it real bad, and I was like, just pull it up and I'll run through the Shadow Throne pretty easy. They're playing on Xbox, so I was playing on a controller. Dude, I couldn't shoot anything. Like, it was embarrassing. Titan and a controller. That's like the 2 worst things that you could give me to try to go through. So it was a nightmare. Couldn't beat it. I was like, wait till I get home and get on my computer. Just wait till I get home and get on my computer. I'll hop on. We'll beat this in 30 minutes.
Just give me an account login. I'm creating you a Steam account, linking your profiles, and then I can do
like, not even that. Like, just join my fire team. You don't even have to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get you through it. But yeah, that was rough. Like, the controller skills gone. Like, they are. Like, it's like watching my children trying to play a first person shooter on a controller. like it's gone, and it's way gone. Like, I'm still okay like on a controller on like third person action games, like God of War, like those games that like, or Spider-Man, like those games that don't like aren't made for mouse and keyboard. But my God, first person shooters, trying to go back, it's done. It's over.
I truly
Absolutely
think you
over.
could get it back, but it would take you a month plus.
It would take long enough. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right.
I tell you what, it's as bad or worse as like the first time you try to play on mouse and keyboard and you can't even walk or jump, or like you're looking down at the keyboard the whole time. It felt like that again, and I never would have thought. Not like if I was playing Madden or 2K, like it wouldn't have been like that, but something that required so much movement, it was bad. It was real bad.
Speaking of controllers, my parents did buy me a controller for Christmas. I just looked at it. I was like, what is this?
What the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
I was like, man, what game would I even play with it? And I was like, well, I guess if I ever start playing like 2K or Madden again, like it'll be used for that, or like even though some like older like arcade games that just like aren't made for mouse and keyboard.
Thanks for this super shitty gift, Mom and Dad.
Yeah,
That I'm never gonna use. Oh, that's funny.
but it looks cool. It's
I
like
can just see
it's like
Tim and Rhonda now, just trying to do something really nice for their son who likes video games.
Yeah.
And he's like, gross. What color is it?
It
Is it like a
looks
special?
cool. Yeah, it's like a red camouflage thing. So it looks cool.
Okay. You know, you support our troops, so
Yeah. Why the sad face, Nina? Um, in chat. All right. Question 3: Did you buy anything on the Steam sale?
Nope.
I bought
Not
I bought
me
two
personally.
things so far. One was a gift for my wife, and one was a gift for Dark Haze. So I bought Dark Haze Lightfall because he didn't have it yet, and I bought my wife that meme game with the videos where you like do the captions or whatever that we played here at the house for the party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bought her that. It was like $7 or $8, and I bought it apparently 3 hours before the Steam sale started. So I paid like $8 for it, and then it went on sale for $3. So that was cool, being like 4 hours ahead of the Steam sale. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll just look what's on sale here probably after the show. See if there's anything good.
I've been eyeballing two things, but I haven't decided if I want to spend the money on them or not yet. So.
Question 4: Anybody know anything about projectors? My wife is wanting to buy one, and I know nothing. I guess that is for you, Fox, right?
Yeah, this is my question actually, just to see, trying to crowdsource this a little. So my wife,
I'd stick to Epson or Optima. Either one of those are good. Lamp Life's good. They've definitely changed a little bit since I was on the market for them a long time ago. But yeah, those are two brands I would stick to and just find one that works.
Epson, and what was the other one?
I think it's Optima.
Optima, you said?
Yeah.
I just need something 1080 because we stream like YouTube TV and that, like, I don't need 4K. So like 1080 is all I need.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. I'll send you stuff.
I'd appreciate it very much.
A newer version of the one I have.
How much are we talking on these?
500.
Okay. That's about where I want to be. I don't want to spend $1,000. I still got that LG OLED that I think is going to get cycled back into my room here. So if I do that, I think I can go to 4 screens. So that might be what happens.
All right.
All right.
Last question. Go ahead.
Here we go. Numbers 1 to 100.
28.
33.
On the Twitch, I am switching over to the numbers. And it's on the third roll. Roll 1. Roll 2. What were you guys? 28 and 33?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 69. Oh, 20. 20 is the number. Jared, have we had 20 yet?
I don't see it right now. Oh.
All right. 20 is a new one.
Yep.
At least we got a new number. So we are roughly 18 to 20 in on the numbers. Nobody has got it yet. So unfortunate. One day we will. One day we will get it. So that brings us to the end of the show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Destiny CC Pod. Send a spongy friend request. We definitely want to play games together. We got a long season, so let's become good friends. Listen to us on Thursdays. Play with us all throughout the week. We'll let these other two guys sign off.
It's the last weekend to bake cookies, so make sure you get those done this weekend if you need to do those and get your avalanches focused up and get a good one.
jump in that coil, do that exotic bow mission. It's soloable for people that want to put in the time, do it, and believe in themselves. It's a lot of fun.
As always, go Cats. Love you guys.